All right, everybody, I am so sorry about that. Hopefully, if you can just, a couple people just let us know if you can hear this one. All right. Can you guys hear this? All right. Okay. Can you guys hear this? All right. Let's try this again. I apologize. We are we are learning. We've got this is brand new for us. So sorry, we apologize, but thank you for joining us over here. I've posted it and I've sent out a new email and posted it to all the social medias. So let's try this again. We'll start over from the top. My name is Joel Wisser. I am a technology integration specialist for Settlemont Unified School District. This is my 8th year in this role. I'm excited to have you join us tonight. This is something that we've never done before, and we're glad you could be a part of it.
My name is Mike Bailey. I am a technology integration specialist as well. Alongside Mr. Wisser, we've been in this role for 8 years. I've been in the district a total of 11, and we've been really busy trying to get Chromebooks ready for you guys, ready for the new school year, to make sure that these experiences are good for teaching and learning. And so we're real grateful that you are joining us tonight. Hopefully we can get some of your questions answered. And so I'm going to turn it over to one of our site administrators, Mr. Edgar Garcia.
How you doing? Good evening, everybody. This is kind of interesting, and I'm seeing all these guys, our tech guys, get to work on this new technology. I can't wait to see everybody, and this is pretty neat. Let's get after it.
All right, so you are joining us tonight for our remote learning guide for parents and students. I know there are a lot of questions about what's coming up in the next couple of weeks, what's going to look like. We're going to try to answer as many questions as possible, but we also encourage you to type your questions into the chat, and we're going to answer as many as we can, either in the process of or at the end. If you're having difficulties, it looks like a couple people are still having audio difficulties, but for the most part, I think most of us can hear. This will also be posted on our YouTube channel when this is all done. So once you get your audio issues worked out, you should be able to watch that at any time as well. So what's tonight going to look like? Over the next hour, we're going to look at what the remote learning expectations are. We're going to take a look at the login process for a Chromebook or Chrome device. So if you are using a computer at home, or if you've requested pickup for a device here from school, we're going to tell you what that's going to look like. We'll talk about what's going to happen when inevitably we do need to repair some Chromebooks. And then we're going to take a look at some communication. So we're going to take a look at the Remind app, what Google Classroom is going to look like for your students. We're going to get on to Google Meet, which is how your students are going to be communicating with their teacher primarily, and Google Mail, which is where they're going to find invites to classroom and communication from school and administrators, things like that. Then at the end, we're going to try to save some time for some Q&A. If you have questions, like I said, please feel free to post them in the chat here, and we will answer those the best that we can. And if you would like to get a copy of these slides, I encourage you to go to smusd.me/parentinfo1, and it will copy these slides if you have a Google Drive or a G Suite email address. So let's talk about remote learning expectations. So today was Meet the Teacher Day. Today we originally had scheduled that from 4 to 6 that you would have had time to go with your child into the classroom, meet the teacher, see the schools if you're new to our district. But unfortunately that didn't happen. What we had decided on instead was that K through 8 would start to send phone calls home and introduce themselves that way. And high school, because they have so many more students, would start introducing themselves over email. All of our teachers have instead created a video, and you can find those videos if you've not seen them yet. They're really cute. Teachers did a great job. You can see those at smusd.me/teachermeet, and you can click around. We've got a message from the superintendent. Every site administrator has also put in a video, so you get to see a little bit of the school. hear what's upcoming for the individual sites, and then you can go from there and check out the different schools and all the teachers that are there. We do expect you to be able to sign into your email account, your student email account. If you picked up a Chromebook device already, you'll have seen, or you should have seen, a half sheet of paper in there that has the email address and the password. You're also going to notice that once you get into mail, you're going to see invites into Classroom, especially at the K-8 level. We're encouraging teachers to invite their students instead of just posting a classroom code. It makes it a little bit easier for parents and for students. If you need to pick up a Chromebook still, it's not too late. We are currently processing through all the requests that took place from the 17th, which was the original cutoff date, all the way up through the end of last week. And then as soon as we get those ready, we'll have emails going out either tonight or tomorrow, letting you know the directions on picking those up. So if you've already placed a request, but you haven't heard anything yet, information is coming. It takes us a while to process through well over 1,000 requests for Chromebooks, but we'll continue to work on those.
And for those emails, just want to remind you, you may want to check your spam. We have been told that account has gone to spam for many parents, and it's from joel.whistler@smusd90.org. So, and I think in the subject line, it just simply says Chromebook checkout or something derived from that. So check your spam, because if you've already signed up, you should have already gotten an email from us.
Yeah, the first batch of emails went out on July 21st, right around 8 p.m. But a lot of spam filters when I sent out 860 emails all at once. So spam filters are doing what they're supposed to and pick that up as possible spam. So please make sure you check that out.
Also, if you've not filled out this for your learning choice, go to smusd.me/2020 choice. If you've not already filled that out, it is through that you can indicate if you're going to do in-person learning, when it's safe to come back into the classroom, or are you going to go ahead and do remote learning until you feel safe to do so. But it's also throughout this form that you'll be able to request a Chromebook for your student or students.
And we are going to have our second cutoff date of tomorrow night at midnight. So make sure you get your requests in by tomorrow night so that you can be notified. We're going to make sure that everything that gets in before tomorrow night at midnight is honored before the next pickup date, which is the 11th. And then we'll send out emails hopefully by Friday or Monday at the latest, depending on how quickly we can get through those and how many there are. Just like Mr. Bailey was just saying, if you've already requested a device, check your spam. The first batch of emails, if you got your request in before the 17th, went out on July 21st. We have received over 1,200 requests at this point. So we're trying our very best. For the most part, Mr. Bailey and I are a two-man show as far as this goes. We've got some help with some interns this summer, but their time is quickly ticking down as well. The next pickup date will be August 11th from 7 to 9 a.m. and then again from 2 to 8 p.m. so we can hopefully accommodate as many families as possible. We'd love to see all those Chromebooks get picked up. And if you did request a Chromebook and no longer need it, you can email us and let us know that that is no longer needed so that we can make sure that device gets to somebody else who does. And we'll have the email that you can use in just a moment.
Also, don't forget that pickup on the 11th is going to be here at Tonopah Valley High School out of the auditorium lobby. And for K-8, you will need to have $30 cash or money order for your deposit or insurance fee. If you are a high school student, there is no need to do requests for Chromebooks because our high school is a take-home one-to-one program anyway. And so we'll just go ahead and get that prepared for you, and you should be getting some notification or some communication rather from the high school staff to let you know when that is ready to come and pick that up.
Okay, so what devices will work for remote learning? We've gotten this question a lot. And obviously Chromebooks will work, whether you own the Chromebook or you're borrowing one from us. You can also use a desktop. But you're going to want to make sure that if you are using a desktop computer at home, that it has a webcam and microphone. so that your student can participate in Google Meet sessions. You can use a laptop. Almost every laptop made over the past 10 years has a webcam and microphone built into it, so that's a good option, and it doesn't matter whether it's PC or Mac. I've had some parents ask if an iPad or an Android tablet will be okay, and in most cases it will be. For older students, the lack of a keyboard might slow down some of the assignment work, but the Google apps for either one of those will suffice. You do want to make sure that you have Google Classroom, Google Meet, the Gmail app, and Drive apps installed if you are going to use an iPad or Android device.
All right, so one of the questions about bus pickup, is that right, Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Do you have any, you did respond to Ms. Martinez in the chat, responded about the bus pickup or transportation. So thank you for doing that. Are there any other questions up to this point?
Yes, I have another question. Question, will the deposit be returned after children return to school?
That's a great question. So if you are returning to in-person learning and you return within 4 days of when, we'll get some guidelines later this week, when it's deemed safe to return. If your child returns within 4 days of that, you will get your deposit as long as there is not any physical damage to the device, or you've not needed any at-fault repairs over the period of our remote learning. Hopefully that answers that question. For remote learning at home, we do recommend if you're on Wi-Fi and not a hardwired connection for your Chromebook or tablet or laptop, that you have at least a 10 megabit per second download speed. If you're not sure what kind of speeds you're getting, you can check out fast.com or speedtest.net. Either one will give you a reading of what your download and upload speeds currently are. As long as you're in that 10 megabit range, you should be pretty good. We will encourage you, during the day while you're home to if you're live streaming or if you're on Google Meets, to run as few devices as possible, just to make sure that the connection stays strong. If you've got the PS4 going and the TV and all the different computers and tablets in your house all using internet at the same time, it can kind of create a bottleneck and slow down or make connections unstable. If you do get into a chat and find that it is not able to support your video, you can turn your video camera off, and that should help alleviate some of those issues. Remote learning at each site is going to vary a little bit, and it's also going to be a little bit different grade level to grade level. Obviously, the younger the students are, the less autonomy we're expecting of the students. For high school, middle school students, you can get your schedules from PowerSchool. If you did not get your PowerSchool information, you can call your secretary and they can give you that PowerSchool login info.
There's a question.
All right. Go ahead.
If my child's Chromebook from the TBHS isn't working, can I bring it into the high school?
So he said if the device that you received is not working, can you bring it into high school? We'll get into that in just a moment, what the repair process looks like. Even if you received one and it's just dead on arrival, we will take care of that, and we'll talk about what that process looks like. Every device that went out was checked or should have been checked for functionality, so we're hoping it's something simple, but yes, we'll obviously help take care of that, and we'll talk about that repair process in just a moment. All right, so remote learning, let's take a look at remote learning in kindergarten through 5th grade real quick. So you're going to see videos from your teacher and announcements in classroom. Classroom is going to be the main place you're going to get your information. So students will be invited into Google Classroom. You join that classroom, and from there you'll get your daily assignments, you'll get instructional videos, resources, announcements, everything like that from your teacher. You can expect short guided lessons and videos from your teacher, and then the teacher will then allow for independent practice. They might stay on the Google Meet while the student works on that. They might ask for something to be turned in at some point in the day. We do expect that not every student is going to be able to get on, especially with our little kids, our younger students, that they're not going to be able to maybe join in real time. We understand that a lot of our families are working families, and maybe our students for this remote learning period are with a grandparent or with a babysitter. So we are asking our teachers to be accommodating to that and allow live participation, of course, but also asynchronous participation, which means they might not see participation from their student until the evening when parents come home and can help them get onto Classroom and look through the videos for the day and help them do the lessons. So we are asking our teachers to be flexible in that if the student cannot join live.
There's a question
Sure.
about K-5 packets.
All right, you wanna-
Go ahead, read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
What time is pickup for packets for K-5?
Ms. Vivian, do you know that?
I don't know that. Maybe Mrs. Giacovelli can answer.
I know Ms. Giacovelli was in on this chat. If Ms. Giacovelli or Mr. Bourne is here and you'd like to respond, just look in the chat there. We'll try to get an answer and we'll get some information posted to the correct Facebook sites as well.
I've seen that.
And yeah, so I see the question, can you change back to on campus from option 2? Option 2 is not going to work well. Option 2, you can change as soon as in-person learning is deemed safe. At that time, you can choose to return. Ms. Vivian, are they asking to contact the site first? Do they need to contact the site if they're returning to in-person?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you are choosing to return to in-person learning after option 2 and after in-person learning is deemed safe, then we do ask that you just contact your individual site and let them know your intentions, and we'll take care of it from there. And the teachers too. Yes.
Remind them that it's going to be a phased-in return. It's not going to be one day the next. That might be good to know.
Okay. And I also see a question here. Can you have some pickup times later in the evening? On the 11th, we're trying our very best. We're going to be here from 2 to 8 p.m. And, you know, we're trying to be here early in the morning too, from 7 to 9 a.m. So we will continue in our pickups to try to accommodate as many schedules as possible. And if there's certain situations, we'll try our very best to accommodate as many people as we can.
So,
All right. Remote learning for 6th through 8th grade is going to be a little bit similar. So we'll have videos and announcements posted in Classroom. Students are expected to participate in real time. So middle school students will be asked to join and participate in lessons following their class schedule. So if class starts at 9 a.m., they're expected to be in Classroom at that time. If for some reason they are not able to join at that time, we're asking that they communicate that with their teacher, just like you would if a student were to be absent. Attendance will be taken for middle school, although we're still asking that middle school teachers allow some flexibility due to schedules of working families and things like that too. All Google Meets will be recorded and posted in Classroom. Just remember, technical difficulties happen, as you saw a little bit earlier this morning, or this evening, I'm sorry. Things are going to happen if a stream drops. We've had that when we were recording some during the day today that just stopped recording and we had to start it back up again. So we'll do our very best to make sure all those pieces are posted and available for you to watch. As students enter middle school, there is going to be a greater focus on independent work and more project-based learning. For high school, videos and announcements will still be in Classroom. Students are also expected to participate in real time. Attendance will be taken and all meets will be recorded and posted in Classroom. And then it's going to get a little bit more independent work and more, self-guided learning as well.
So let's talk about some of the communication opportunities that we're going to utilize this year and moving forward. One is the Remind app, and it's used primarily for communication. There'll be what we call all calls used to remind you to join. There'll be opportunities, communication from not only the site, but also from the classroom itself to remind students and parents, as well as some of the things that are going on within the classroom. Any 13-year-old or younger, it requires parent approval and communication through email. So it's key that if you have a kid that is younger than 13, we want all of our student information systems to be as updated as possible, but especially for the Remind app, it is so important that they are able to get that communication, and that is going to be available as long as there's a valid email for the parent, so that when the teacher sends that out or the site, that they will be able to get that to you. It'll also go through social media, through the websites, the various websites for the schools, and then mass emails that will come through. Remind is for school, parent, and student communication. It is sometimes used for two-way, but primarily the way in which we will give that information out will be one way. It will be more announcements, and it will be requesting responses from you. Now, there may be links in which those messages have to take you to a form or some other web page so that you can get some more information. But a Remind is going to be that primary source of communication from teacher to parent, student, but also from site administration to you as stakeholders within that particular school. So you may be asking, well, why are we going to use yet another tool for communication? What we have learned through Remind, we started it in January. What we have learned through that is most people tend to have a smartphone, and the Remind communication often arrives like a text. And so getting that information to you with your handheld device rather than sending emails or all calls tend to be a lot easier for you to receive that information, as well as respond or do something with that information. It is safe, meaning that that our district monitors any communication that's going on between student, parent, and teacher or other staff members, so that in case there are some issues, we can go through and audit those particular communications, not only to protect students but also to protect our staff. It was originated for education. I know that the Remind app has been used by other means, but its primary usage is for school communication. And it may, any messages coming to you may be updates. It might be instructions for you to follow, as well as reminders. One of the things that our teachers have already discussed with us that they're looking forward to is the ability to send out reminders for quizzes, assessments that might be coming up, or maybe some changes in schedules due to maybe technical difficulties or things like that. So whenever you're going to join a class, you might get an invitation from a teacher. You can just simply join a class button. If you go to remind.com, log in, you can join the button, enter the class code, or you can search for your class. That way teachers can send messages. Like I said, it can be two-way. In other words, they can send a message and then you can respond back, but it may be just a mass group messages for them. It'll be announcements primarily, one-way large group, or maybe even individual messages to you. And occasionally there may be opportunities where maybe a student is not doing well while we're in remote learning. That might be a way for the parent, for the teacher to email or message, I should say, through Remind the parent, just to see if there's some additional helps that they can provide or resources to give, so that we can make sure that your student stays engaged, not only during our remote learning while we are, but also throughout the rest of the school year. So if you want some resources on the Remind app, you see that that link there, remind.com/families, and there's some great resources for you there. So now we'll move on into the login process. So if your student, whether they have a Chromebook or they're going to use a device that's at your home, there are some steps with the login process. Student emails consist of 5 components. First of all, it has a cohort graduation year. I can hardly believe it, as we were provisioning user accounts. I think kindergarten was 2033.
2033.
Yeah, so we're already looking at the class of 2033 already. So the first part of their email will be for instance, in this case, as we were provisioning kindergarten accounts, it would be 33, and then it would be the first initial of their first name. It will be the first initial of their middle name, if they have one, and then their full last name. And then finally, it'll be at SMUSD90.org. The password for any K-8 student is going to be their site abbreviation. So for Tartesso, it would be TES. If it's Winterswell, it will be WWES. If it's Ruth Fisher Middle School, then it'll be RFMS. And then the rest of their password will consist of their lunch ID or their ID number. The high school, however, is a little bit different. As they get a little bit older, they need different security measures. And so they are able to reset their password, but the default password as it's given to them is SMUSDGAFE. So if your student's having difficulty logging in as a high school student, perhaps you want to try this default password first. If you continue to have issues, feel free to reach out to Mr. Wisser or me or both of us, and we'll try to get you troubleshooted and get into that Chromebook or your Chrome browser as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we didn't change any passwords for any returning high school students. So, sometimes they'll forget them over the summer. You can email us and let us know. But any new student to the high school, whether they're a returning 8th grader now 9th, or just new to our district, SMUSD GAFE is the default password.
So you see there, this is how it's broken up in those 5 components. 28 is a cohort, S is the first initial, M is the middle initial, and then last name is Smith, and then at SMUSD90.org is our domain. And so if this student attended Winterswell, then WWES, and then their lunch ID or their student ID number. Man, it's hard to believe. Kinder is already the class of 33. Can you believe that? And so we've already gone over the student passwords. As this slide suggests, if you have any troubles logging in, please email us at device.support@smusd90.org, and we'll try to be as responsive as possible to getting you guys logged in. Also, we're going to have some on-site accommodations. Starting August 18th, there has been a survey sent out. I think this morning when we had our convocation for the district, there was less than 75 that had already responded to that in case your student needed a safe place to do remote learning. There will be essentially chaperones, but it will not be face-to-face instruction. There will be breakfast and lunch available. If you feel like you need those kind of accommodations, we request that you go to that website you see there, smusd.me/on-site support, so that you can give us an indication that that is some of the additional accommodations that you may need. Absolutely.
First question, I'm not sure if we can answer this, but is there a required amount of time of instructional time per day for students? And I think that might change by site to site, might be a little bit. Did somebody answer that one? Okay, Dr. Tyson. Okay, and then are the slides going to be available? I think you mentioned that, Mr. Wisser.
Yeah, so the slides are available. I will post the link in after we're done here in each of the schools' Facebook page as well. If we could, maybe we could go back to that slide here real quick. I'll give Mr. Bailey just a second. If we can pop back to that slide, I'll come back to it. Yep, that one right there. So if you want these slides here, you can go to smusd.me/parentinfo1, and it'll force copy those slides to you. We can put that in the chat here as well. I'll type that in right now, smusd.me. You'll have to copy and paste that link. Try that. Maybe you might just have to paste that link in, but I'll also put it on the Facebook page. All right. Yeah, we see a few people asking about a new school. Dr. Ty has been posting in the chat there when that will open and where that's located. All right, let's get back to it. Let's talk about the repair process, because we know there's going to be incidents. Things happen. When you are picking up a Chromebook, if you're picking up from us, whether you're kindergarten through 8th grade or a high school student, you paid a $30 either deposit or insurance fee if you're choosing to keep it longer, or our high school students also pay the $30 insurance fee. And what that does is it covers your first incident at fault for the year. So if it's something like the operating system crashed, that's not at fault, so that doesn't count. But if you spill water on it or drop it down the stairs, send it for a swim in the pool, something like that, those are going to be an incident. And the repair process for these devices, it's going to look like this. So we've got a sheet, a form that we use called smusd.me/incident report, SMUSD. If your child is on a Chromebook, they can go to their SMUSD links folder. They'll see it right in their bookmark bar. In fact, let me just kind of show you what that looks like here. If you're using a school Chromebook and your student signs in, there will be an SMUSD links folder. And from there, they can just go down to Chromebook incident report. They click on that, and it's going to take them right to the incident report form. You're going to fill out this form, and it asks a few things here. It asks, is this going to be for pickup or drop off? You're going to put in your email address or the student email address. It's going to ask which site it's for. So if you're choosing a drop-off repair, you can drop it off at any site during normal school hours, but we ask that you first fill out this form. You're going to indicate you're dropping it off. And let me just kind of go here. So you can say drop off. There we go. And then maybe you're going to drop it off at Tartesso. And then we click next. Oh, I forgot the email address. Yes. So we fill out this form. It's going to ask you for the device cart number. So on the sticker on your Chromebook, you're going to pick what cart it's from, because we did have to empty out all of our carts at the schools to provide these loaner devices. You'll pick the cart. You'll see the sticker. If you're a high school student, you just pick none because it didn't come from a cart. It is a Chromebook. You'll enter all that information, put in the device number, and then tell us what's wrong with the device. So we ask that you fill out those steps first, and then go ahead and proceed to drop it off. We will collect those repairs weekly, and on Friday mornings we'll collect them. We'll get all those fixed. If we can't fix it, we will replace it. And then based on the information you provide in that form, we will contact you if you are doing drop-off. If you choose to do drive-up, we will email you early in the week, probably by Wednesday, notifying you that your repair time has been scheduled. We'll tell you when you can come to the high school to get that repaired. And then you can wait while we fix it, and we'll give it right back to you and take it home. The repair process, if it's drop off, like I said, you'll have to drop it off before Friday. Friday morning, I'll pick them up, and then we'll get them back. And so our goal would be by Friday afternoon to get it back to the school. So you'll probably be a few days without a device if you choose that option. But we will work the very best we can and get those back to you as soon as possible. And yes.
When a person returns, will they get a Chromebook and they said they had computers at home? Or should we get a Chromebook for them and have the whole year?
So we have a question, when a person returns, will they get a Chromebook if they said they had a computer at home? Or should we get a Chromebook for them to have the whole year? It sounds like this is a either K-8 question, because high school students have a Chromebook all year. So guys, do you guys want to answer this one?
I think what they might be asking here is if they're doing remote learning, they come back in person. If they did not request a device, so they're using a device at home, they come back into school, yes, they'll have a device in the classroom that they can use. Obviously it might take, there's going to be some flexibility there as devices are getting turned in, they have to get checked back in and then returned to the cart. So then it might be sanitized. Yep. So there might be a day or 2 or 3 delay from the time it gets turned back into the school to the time it makes it back in the cart. But once in-person learning does resume, Mr. Bailey and I's main focus will be getting those devices back into the classrooms and issuing out the deposit refunds if you had selected that option. As quickly as possible.
You want to talk a little bit about returning it with what that looks like?
So because we self-insure in Saddle Mountain, every student is to pay a $30 insurance fee. For the students who selected in-person learning, but they just needed to borrow a device until that in-person learning resumes, or if they chose remote learning, but they plan on coming back as soon as within a week of it deemed being safe, we will issue those deposits, will issue a return of that fee. The deposit is going to be returned if the student returns to in-person learning within 4 school days, once it's deemed safe. That insurance fee does cover, like I said, the first at-fault break or incident. Software issues, normal wear and tear don't count. We ask that you do not remove serial number stickers or device tags. We made sure that this summer every device going out had all 3 of those stickers. Please do not remove those. If you remove those, then it is going to be considered a forfeit of the insurance fee deposit, just because then Mr. Bailey and I have to go through and we have to do reverse lookups and find out where that device goes. So please let your kids know, do not remove these stickers from the device. Don't put new stickers on the device. Please don't color on them with markers or crayons. We've seen it all. So please, use our device. We want you to be successful, but please do not deface the devices. All right.
So one of the main ways in which your teacher and student will be communicating is through a platform called Google Classroom. And so if you are going to be using Chrome browser or your Chromebook, we're going to demonstrate for you where to find Google Classroom. It's through that thing we call it a waffle. But let's see if we can get it up here, and we're going to show you what Google Classroom will look like. So if you have a new tab open, if you go to the waffle right here, click on the waffle, and there is Classroom right there. You simply click on that, and for the student, it will load all of their active classrooms that they have either been a part of, they are waiting an answer to their invite, or all of those that they have already accepted. And so they may receive invites through email or a class code that they are to go and to fill out and populate. So they can through classroom invite or join codes, they can get into these classrooms. I know particularly in the high school, those emails should have gone out this afternoon inviting those students to each of their classes. And so they should have received those invites already. The join codes can be posted or emailed to the entire class, or teachers may choose to just simply email the roster and invite them. And then literally for K-8, that's what we've asked for, particularly for the smaller, the lower grades, we've asked to invite those. It will be much smoother transition for those younger learners. But they can join a class, using that code. Once you're in the classroom, there are a couple of a few tabs there for as a student, there's a stream, which is essentially the main page. And that's where a lot of that communication will be taking place. You can communicate with your class. If the teacher allows, you can even communicate through posts. Oh, sorry. You can continue to communicate with other students if that is allowed. The permissions are set, there in Google Classroom. In Classwork tab, that's where your assignments will be housed, and that is where essentially you'll turn in the work that will be graded, and I'm sure it's been emphasized by teachers already and administrators as well. But just want to remind you that when we start on August 6th this year, it will be it will not be like it was in the spring. This will be rigorous, ongoing learning until we can get into in-person learning, and Google Classroom will be the primary way in which your students will be able to access their teacher as well as all of the assignments that they have. Now, we are keenly aware that there are places within our 500 plus square mile district that do not have that don't have good access to internet, and we are going to do everything we can as a district to make sure that your student, your kid, your child is successful, even if they don't have internet access. But I think for the most part, we have learned from the spring as well as ongoing research during the summer, more and more people are able to have internet access. Also, I want to tell you as a parent or as a guardian, there's an opportunity for you to sign up for guardian summaries with the teacher. Again, so important for you to make sure that our student information system is up to date with a good, valid email, because then you can be emailed weekly guardian summaries of the work that your child is working through. And once you join one classroom with the guardian summary, you get it from all of your classes from that child. And so that's a great way for you to stay engaged and on top of your child's learning, whether while we're in the remote session or in-person learning there. The guardian summaries, they could be weekly, which is default. That is what we call best practice. Otherwise, you'll be inundated with all the due dates and things that your child or children may be having to accomplish throughout the week. But it tells you, the student work, what they may be missing from last week. It'll also give you upcoming assignments and due dates. And so Google Classroom with that guardian summary will be a really helpful tool for you as a parent or a guardian to help stay on top of student learning.
We got a quick question here. It looks like Sharice. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It says, "Are you allowed to use 2 email addresses for the Guardian summaries?" You can actually use up to 4 email addresses. So each student can have up to 4 accommodating email addresses that go with those Guardian summaries. So just let your teacher know that you'd like to combine multiple email addresses for that Guardian summary, and that is not a problem at all.
So one of the things that Google Classroom affords is a single platform for a teacher to manage the assignments, particularly in remote learning. So what we suggest is a best practice as parents or guardians, as you're working with your child to help turn in assignments that are due. Don't email those, because if a class of 25 kids emailed their assignment to their teacher, you can imagine how quickly that inbox could fill up and get buried in a bunch of other communication that might be going on. Rather, Google Classroom affords you the opportunity to turn in those assignments specifically in that Google Classroom platform. And in doing so, it places it in a folder where the teacher can grade it and hopefully return it in a timely manner to give good feedback on how they are doing on a particular standard or standards that they are working through. You have another question?
Yeah, so there is another question. There's a couple of questions actually. One, is this live stream going to be available to watch later? Yes, the links that are posted on each Facebook site is going to stay active. You can also check out the Saddle Mountain Unified School District YouTube channel, and you'll find it there as well. The other question was, where do we sign up for the Guardian Summaries? If you'd like to sign up for a Guardian Summary, just simply talk to your student's homeroom teacher, have them sign you up. You can email them, you can give them a call, and they'll get you signed up. And once, like Mr. Bailey said, once they're signed up with one teacher, any other teachers that they see throughout the day will also be included in your Guardian Summary.
During that particular school year?
During that school year,
Yep.
yes.
All right.
All right, I'm just making sure we got all the questions here. Ooh, and I did pronounce it correct. Thank you. All right, here we go. So let's talk about Google Meet. Google Meet is where your students will interact through video chat with your teachers and possibly parapros on a daily basis. Google Meet is where teachers are going to host their instructional videos. So they'll be doing instruction in real time, encouraging students to join if possible. Most Google Meet invitations will be generated in Google Classroom, but it's possible they might come through Calendar or Google Mail as well. You'll enter Google Meet by clicking on the hyperlink in the invitation. So you can kind of see a sample Google Meet invitation right there at the bottom of the screen. It says join with Google Meet. You click on that blue button, you're in. If the teacher creates their invitation in Classroom, you have to wait for the teacher to join before the student will be allowed in. Expectations for Google Meet. If you're able to join, be on time. We encourage you to be there on time. Like I said before, we do understand that some families may need flexibility as far as when they're able to join Google Meets, but this is more specifically for our middle school and high school students. The expectation is if class is starting at 9, you're there at 9. The teacher is responsible for taking attendance within the first 5 minutes of class. We also ask that you enter your Google Meet with your microphone muted. As classes grow, as there's more people already in the class, it will do that for you by default. We ask that you don't disrupt the class. We're going to show you a couple cool features on how you can, stay engaged and how you can ask to raise your hand or things like that if you do have a question. And it's through an app called Nod that's been pushed out to all of our teachers and students. So I'm going to come over here to what a new Google Meet would look like. And right here, I'm just at meet.google.com. I'm going to, in this case, join a meet. I'm just going to call it sample here. And I'll allow that.
That's good. So that in
Yep.
case they see it for
So the
first
first time you get logged in, it's going to ask you to allow both your microphone and your camera. I'll bring that down a little bit. And then we're going to join. Once you join a meet, we have the joining info here, but we don't really need that. Right now here, we can see how many people are in the chat. We have a chat room, and this is where we encourage our students to stay engaged throughout the lesson as well, asking questions. Students can also give feedback here with, this is that Nod extension that we were just talking about. Students can give a thumbs up. They can raise their hand if they've got a question. They can clap, they can celebrate, they can laugh, whatever it is. And all that can be done without interruption to the teacher.
Or if a teacher was asking, does that make sense? Do you understand? And if your student does not, they can give a thumbs down. Just to let the teacher know that, hey, I'm struggling with this particular unit or instruction.
Down here at the bottom are some important things I want to show you too. The first one is the microphone button. To mute your microphone, you just click that. You'll see that it's red. It notifies you up at the top that your microphone is off. The middle button is how to leave a call. So at the end of the meeting, you can click that button and get out. And then I can also turn off my camera with that button right here. we mentioned before, we know internet can be an issue, especially as we get out towards Tonopah. If it's struggling to keep up with the video, you can just turn off that camera when it's not needed. I actually have had a few parents reach out to me. Their students have, there was one with visual disabilities or with IP. If it helps to have captions turned on, you can click that close captions, and then the student can read what is being said on the camera. It takes a few seconds to kick in, but it's a pretty powerful tool right there. Sometimes your teacher might ask your student to present their work, in which case all they need to do is click the Present Now button, and then they pick what they want to share, whether it's a tab or a window or the entire screen. And they can pick that. I can pick my Google Classroom, and then I can share that. Once it's shared and I'm done, I can click the Stop button, and I can go right on back to my Meet. The last thing I want to show you here is your settings, and this is important, especially if you have different cameras, or different microphones that are available. You can also change your layout here, but what I really want to show you is the settings. Inside your settings, if you have different microphone, you can select from what's available here, what speakers you have, but you can also choose from the different cameras that you have available. And this one only has one. You can also drop down the resolution. So if it is struggling to keep up with your internet, you can drop that resolution down to 360, and you can drop down the resolution which you receive as well. So some cool settings there. Let's go on back to our slides. So we talked about Nod and how to stay engaged there. With our general information here, we are going to so these are kind of the things we talked about: closed caption, Present Now, and there are some new things that are coming out in Google Meet within the next about 7 weeks. Google has pretty much promised that by the end of third quarter, which would be September 30th of this year, that they will be rolling out a lot of new features. Some of those features are we've already seen them come out. We have higher totals of people who can be involved. We've got some new layout options, but most of these are going to be tools that are utilized by the teachers during the Meet sessions.
And just as a reminder, because you may not be able to join, or your student may not be able to join when the class is going on, these Google Meet sessions should be recorded, and there may be some glitches along the way in that. But just wanted to keep you abreast of the reality that these sessions should be recorded as a best practice, and so they should then be shared back into Google Classroom so that you can view them later. And we've already gone through Present in Google
Yeah.
Meet. You have a couple of questions? Oh, okay. All right. Google Mail. So just some of the things that we want to talk about with Google Mail. Make sure that if you're not using a Chromebook that is issued by the school district, if you're using another Chromebook, or maybe you're using a personal device, a Mac, a PC, when you go into the Chrome browser, make sure that you're signed in using your SMUSD email. And then once you do that, you simply can click on that waffle again and go to Google Mail, or you can simply go create a new tab and go to mail.google.com, and it'll open up right into your inbox by default. And there at the top of the screen, your unread messages will show up, and mostly in bold, and then and that'll be at the top of the page. We suggest, as a best practice, as expectations of your teachers, toward students, that they check Google Mail often, at least as a minimum before class and at the end of the day as a minimum, just so that there can be some communication of what might be expected for the next day. But that is a minimum, particularly as they are up in grades. We would recommend that you do that at least hourly, as teachers need to communicate. Particularly, I know at the high school, Our counselor department, they are steady sending out various communication regarding post-secondary opportunities through university or college, scholarship applications, those kind of things. And as we get into the spring, you know, they are real busy with registration and things like that. So just getting in the habit, even though we might be in remote learning, it would be very important for them to get into the practice of checking email frequently. We also ask that you respond to the emails in a timely manner. And just keep in mind that even though you may be off campus, the email filtering is still intact, and it's filtered for objectionable content. And how many words is that it filters for?
Yeah, it's approximately 500 words.
Yeah. So anytime those words are used, that is flagged, and it goes to the site administrator as well as Mr. Wisser and me. So we didn't quite get there as quickly as we had hoped, but we wonder if there's some outstanding questions that we could answer, or if Ms. Martinez or Mr. Garcia could help answer as well.
I have one question here from Annie. She says, what do I do if my high school teachers have, if not all of my high school teachers have emailed me with the code for the classroom, Google Meet or Google Classroom? Just be patient. It's coming. School doesn't start till Thursday. So I know our teachers have been working hard. This is a big change for everybody. We're working through it together. So they're working on getting those out to you. I would probably expect those, sometime tomorrow if they haven't gotten to you already today. And our assistant superintendent, Ms. Martinez, has been awesome replying to questions in the chat as well. I see our superintendent, Dr. Tai, has been answering a lot of questions. Student meals, you said? So we are still doing student meals starting on August 18th. However, because we are going to be back in instruction, Ms. Vivian, if I'm correct, if they're, it's not just a free pickup lunch, right? So lunches aren't just now that school's back in starting on the 18th. It's not just a free pickup for lunch. If you do qualify for free or reduced, that will still be honored. But if you are a full price lunch, then that is how you can pick up your lunch starting on the 18th as well.
There was also a survey sent out from the food services department trying to get a better understanding of who would be interested in coming and picking up those lunches while we're in remote session. So hopefully you saw that through our Facebook pages. I can't remember, did an all call go out on that?
I think it did, but Kevin Kilborn, he also put in, just visit the food service page on our Saddle Mountain website, smusd90.org. Check out the food service and the link there with more instructions as well if you're interested in finding more information out about that. I've seen a question pop up a couple times. How will weightlifting class work through Google Meets? That is a great question. We'd have to, log their time. I think there's going to be, let me give it over actually to Mr. Garcia here.
There you go, Mr. Garcia. So similar to the closure, our PE teachers and weight training coaches will have students logging their time and working on at home, going over nutrition and health will be primarily the focus for the remote learning. Any other questions?
I am going to put in the chat here too, if you have questions about the devices, just in case you missed that device. You can email us here. I see Jason said I didn't see if anyone answered my question. If you could restate your question real quick for us, Jason.
I answered it.
Oh, did you? Okay. Ms. Vivian.
There's no packets for Ruth Fisher.
Perfect. All right, well, I think with that, if you have further questions, please feel free to email your site, call up to the office. School does begin on August 6th in 2 days. We look forward to the challenges that this year brings. It's been a lot of work getting to this point. We appreciate your patience as we work through some of the road bumps and hiccups along the way. But we are trying our very best and working hard to make sure you have all the tools that you need and your students have the tools they need to be successful this year. And we do look forward to an exciting year. We hope you like this format. It was fun seeing about almost 300 people tune into this tonight. We didn't know what to expect, and we are excited to see that. We would like to continue to offer more of these type of sessions and live streams throughout at least the remote learning process and maybe continuing on. But we appreciate your time and hope you have a great night, and we'll see you on Thursday.